Now, over on this channel, we don't normally talk about Primarchs returning, but in today's video, we're going to focus on a bit of lore that talks about Primarchs returning. This was a prophecy from none other than the Space Wolves. Leman Russ was mentioned in there. There's other Primarchs that are mentioned in there that have started to come back now, one by one, on the tabletop. So it seems that this prophecy is coming true step by step. So we're going to jump in, we're going to explore that a little bit, explore potential next Primarch coming back, and also what that means for the Imperium and the lore as a whole. So let's jump in and let's get waffling. So firstly, I want to give a big shout out to a chap called Zach, who sent me this information. It relit the beacons, it relit the fire in me to cover this again, because I have done a video about this before when it first released. This is taken from this book, which is in the background right now, called Ashes of Prospero. It was a Space Marine Conquest book. Space Marine Conquest books were some books that came out at the time. Devastation of Baal was one of those books. And the prophecies inside of this, and the reason why I'm doing this video today, because that prophecy is coming true. Step by step, it's happening. Everything that was spoken about in that passage of text has now happened, and there's one Primarch mentioned in there which has yet to come back. So let's jump in. Let's take a little well, I'm going to put the text in the background as I read it to you. Enjoy it. I'm going to try my best Space Wolf impression. Games Workshop, if you want to hire me as an audiobook narrator, then, you know, all you have to give me is Rogel Dawn back alive, well, leading the Imperium once again. "But what else?" demanded Logan, stepping closer, his insistence rolling from him like waves of heat. "The eye has opened. What of the Wolf King? No sign?" "None, my lord. There are stirrings, tempests through which even I cannot gaze. Even so, I saw a sleeper entombed in a rock, and a white storm that rode upon a chariot of lightning. A shadow rises to call of all the All-Father's messengers, a darkness that strikes from within. The benighted ones turn their supernatural gazes upon our worlds. The Eater of Worlds, the Corpse King, and the misbegotten child move once more. The Cyclopean fiend we have already seen. Even the Golden One has broken his gaze from the Imperium again. I felt its glare like a fire in my soul, but nothing pertaining to the sons of Fenris. Though the 13th have come back, and the eye has opened, I saw nothing of Leman Russ's return." And the Oscar goes to Valrak. Okay, what an absolute stunning performance. But if we break down that text itself, so it mentions some of the main demonic Primarchs that have already returned. So if we look at the Eater of Worlds, that is Angron, of course, the World Eaters. We know Angron came back in 9th edition. The Corpse King, of course, is definitely Mortarian, Death Guard, you know, corpses and stuff. The Misbegotten Child, that is definitely a reference to the Emperor's Children / Vulgrim, which is about to release now. That is going to be the next Traitor Primarch coming out. We know the first Primarch, the Cyclopean Fiend, is none other than Magnus. They already saw Magnus. They fought against Magnus. They know of Magnus's return. So there we have it. Those are the 4 demonic Primarchs that are returning. They do mention even the Golden One has broken his gaze from the Imperium. Now, the Golden One is none other than Lorgar Aurelian. And this is a big topic to talk about now, because if we look at the Traitor Primarchs now going forward and who's going to return, we have a couple of choices. One is Perturabo and one is Lorgar. Now, both of these have been mentioned in the lore. Vashdor has been working closely with Perturabo, which means potentially we could get Perturabo returning with Vashdor in some type of campaign. Of course, that story is not ended yet, but this prophecy says that the Golden One's stirring, which means Lorgar may be looking to come back now with the Great Rift in place, chaos spewing out. Like, this is the time for chaos to strike. So maybe it's the time for Lorgar to finally get out of his meditation and come back. Could that mean other Primarchs then return if Lorgar come back? Why not? We know that Corax is currently in the warp itself, kind of like a well, I want to say a demon Corax, but I don't know what you want to call it these days. Maybe like a demon Batman Corax. And he's actively hunting Lorgar, and, you know, he just wants to get a hold of him and potentially, well, he does want to kill him. But the really one I want to discuss in this video, and the one that gets me super excited, is what they mentioned about the loyalist Primarchs. So I saw as a sleeper entombed in a rock, which of course is the lion. That is the lion, because that's where the lion was. He was in the rock, and then he woke up in the forest, and now he's returned. He can forest walk. We've got the book from that, from Mike Brooks, if I'm not mistaken. We've got all the lore of his return. But the next one, and a white storm that rode upon a chariot of lightning, that is none other than Jagatai Khan. And the reason why this excites me, because Jagatai Khan technically could return anytime, just like Vulcan. Vulcan is perpetual. He can just pop up and go, hey, I'm back. Jagatai Khan went into the webway, and we know the webway and the timings and like the way the time works in the webway is completely different to real time. So Jagatai Khan could have gone in there for a couple of hours, coming back out. It's 10,000 years later. We have a nice, useful Jagatai Khan. The Imperium's changed. This could be a whole massive shakeup. But I also look at it like this is a Primarch that potentially just could come out as like left field. Like, we expect Leman Russ to come back. Like, I expect Leman Russ to come back. It'd be on brand for Leman Russ to come back, because then you have like a full range refresh for the Space Wolves, and, you know, that could happen with it, and it'd be amazing, just like we got with the Dark Angels. But for Jagatai Khan to come back, it's then coming back with a Primarch that is not from a chapter that is not really, I say, mainstream. I love the White Scars. I think they're incredible, but not a lot of people play them. Not a lot of people know about them that much. Well, it's definitely when you compare them to like the Black Templars, the Blood Angels, the Dark Angels, and the Space Wolves, right? You know, it's kind of like a second tier chapter, just like the Imperial Fist, Iron Hands, and you know, Salamanders. So if they did bring a Primarch back for like a chapter like that, and again the White Scars, I think that would be an absolutely amazing thing to do. Plus, Jagatai Khan is an absolute boss. He just wants to ride out and fight the enemies of the Imperium. He's not into the politics like Gilliman and maybe the Lion is at the moment in time, where we don't really know what's going on with the Lion at this point. But maybe he'll just slot into place and say, listen, Gilliman, if send me where you want to send me, me and my sons will ride out, we will fight any enemies that we can, orcs, any type of Xenos, chaos, demons, anything like that. We will be here to stand by your side and fight. I think it would be an absolutely fantastic addition to the game to get someone like that added back to the tabletop. I feel like every video I should do on this channel now should just be a foil video, because I find it a little bit sus with this book. So this book came out in 2022, and I know Games Workshop works like 3 to 5 years in advance. So when this book was written, maybe the author who wrote this knew about the Primarchs that were going to return from Games Workshop. They were planned to return, because I find it, again, a little bit sus that every Primarch that was mentioned on here has come back. The the Lion Sleeping, the Eater of Worlds, the Corpse Kings, the Misbegotten Child. It all makes sense, right? That they knew something and they put this passage of text in here to then align with the future model releases, because they never said who was going to come in what order or anything like that. They just put the Primarchs down. And I really do think, like, when they do another Traitor Primarch now, it is going to be Lorgar. Again, just going back to what I said about Lorgar, I think it is the great time for Lorgar to return. Lorgar or Perturabo, but I'd probably put my money on Lorgar. I think he would be a bigger pull for people to start collecting more Chaos stuff. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more Iron Warrior fans out there, but, you know, they don't show their faces because they're all losers and they all get laughed at. Anyway, Chaperonios, that's enough waffling from me, as always. I'd leave it with you. What do you think? What do you think about the prophecy? Is a prophecy happening? Is Nidge the Stormcaller right? What he saw? Is it all starting to unfold now? Are we going to get Jagatai Khan returning to 40k? Would you like to see Jagatai Khan returning to 40k? I still think the next returning Primarch is going to be Leman Russ, though. I see it from a business standpoint at Games Workshop that they would release that with this future incoming range refresh of Space Wolves and stuff. So fingers crossed we do get more fun shenanigans and, you know, more cool Primarchs returning. I know there's going to be people in the comment section saying, I'm sick of Primarchs returning. I get it, right? I totally see where you're coming from. If you hate Primarchs returning to the setting, if you hate what they've done to the setting, I completely understand. But I'm on the other side of that coin. I love them returning. I think it's added so much more to the story. And I'm enjoying it, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it until we get as many back as possible, and yeah, have them all fighting again, because I want to see rematches between different Primarchs on different Primarchs, and you know, experience all the cool stuff like Angron versus Lion. We never got that in the Horus Heresy, right? But we got to see it in 40k, and it was absolutely amazing. But that is again probably another video for another time. Thanks for coming, thanks for watching. If you've got any thoughts, feedback, post it down below. I'm having a nice little chin waffle down there, as we always do. See ya, have a great day, evening, night where you're around the world, and bye bye.